Do you wonder what the meaning behind keep the delta positive or go for a double call is? If so, get comfy, as this video will try to break down 5 messages often heard over F1 team radios.
And box now, box.
I'm sure most of you are very familiar with this message, but do you know why the word box is used instead of something like pit? Well, the word box is actually a simplified word from the German Boxenstopp, which means pit stop. So box now is just an easier way of informing the driver it's time to come into the pits.
So VSC, keep the delta positive.
This is a message that has often caused confusion, and you can often hear engineers refer to it as state positive. Keep the delta positive is usually used in a situation when a virtual safety car is deployed. VSC neutralizes a race, but more importantly, ensures that every driver is traveling at a safe and consistent speed, as a fellow driver or marshal could be in potential danger. The FIA regulates the speed by displaying a delta to the minimum time on the driver's multifunctional display. The time which drivers have to follow is calculated by the FIA's ECU and is defined by the section of the track between each light panel as well as the first and second safety car lines. So if a driver is going too fast, it means that they have gone through a section faster than the minimum time, thus their delta would be negative. And vice versa, if a driver goes through a section slower than the minimum time, their delta would be positive. So keep the delta positive is a reminder for the drivers to slow down and to maintain a positive time on their dash.
Multiple safety car 2, stay negative.
Stay negative is the opposite of what we've just discussed with keeping the delta positive. This is usually used at the end of a qualifying session, but is also used during reconnaissance laps before a race starts. Instead of following a minimum time, a maximum time is enforced to avoid cars being driven unnecessarily slowly. Once again, it's done so that cars travel at consistent speeds to avoid big speed differentials that could cause unforeseen accidents. So stay negative is the engineer's reminder for drivers to go faster than the maximum time depicted on their dashboard.
Alright, scenario 12.
Scenario or Strat with Mercedes is one of those modes that controls the hybrid deployment of the cars. Scenario modes are pre-programmed so that different levels of energy could be automatically deployed around various points of the track. So if a driver was going for a hot lap in qualifying, he would use a mode that would give him maximum electric power. Whereas in a race situation, a mode that balances energy deployment without depleting too much of the battery would need to be chosen. Teams don't disclose what each of the numbers correspond to, but since Scenario 12 is usually heard at the end of the race, it's probably a mode that winds down the electric deployment, as full power is no longer needed post-race.
Okay, George, go for another double call.
This is a message that you often hear during the free practice sessions at a warm venue. Drivers and teams have a limited set of tyres, so when doing qualifying simulations, they put enough fuel for a few hot laps. But they don't want to do consecutive hot laps, as the tyre temperatures would be outside their operating window. Which is why a cool down lap is often used to not only recharge the battery of the car, but also to bring the tyres back to their optimum temperature. A double cool is an extension of that and is used on tracks that are shorter, where simply a single cool down lap isn't enough. So at tracks like the Bahrain outer layout, drivers would complete one hot lap, perform 2 cool down laps before attempting another hot lap in order to ensure that their tyres don't overheat. So that's the 5 radio messages that I've seen commonly asked. Hopefully they clarified a few things, especially for those of you who have just started watching F1. And if you have other messages that you are confused about, I'm more than happy to try and cover them in a future video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.